Sean, what made you come to the conclusion to think about how you do something is how you do everything?
Because I was thinking about the impact that when I met Angelina, it had on my life. When it was the first time that I really equated. I saw proof that the little things that I was doing in life. So when I met Angelina, it wasn't like I was a messy person, but I wasn't anal about things. And if I ate dinner, I'd put the dishes would go in the dishwasher, and we'd clean up at some point, and clothes being left around and clutter being left around. It's a real bother to her. And so I started to understand why she felt like that, because ultimately, if it sits around too long, she's just going to do it herself, right? And I'd watch her doing these things herself, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want my wife to have to do this. This isn't fair. So I just started saying, hey, when we had company over, she would always cook, but before people would finish eating, and I always joke with it that this is what I've always done. But I started to clean up. I would just take the lead in cleaning the kitchen up while people were still there, so she didn't have to do that. And I saw how much joy that it gave to her. And I noticed that I started to pay attention to these little things because it was important to her, not having clutter around, not, building up clothes until your closet becomes unmanageable. All of these little things that she paid attention to, she ultimately would have to do. And I'd watch her doing it. I'm like, damn, if I'd have just taken care of some of this stuff, it would have helped her. So I started doing these little things, and I realized that it translated over, and I started paying attention to the little things across my whole life now. And so I realized that, the way that you do one thing, the way that is the way you do everything. You can't compartmentalize being disciplined in this way and not disciplined. At the end of the day, it's hurting your overall discipline and focus, because it's really about leaving loose ends. Loose ends are not a good thing. Getting things, I've learned that from her. She wants, if there's a task, if there's something she has to do, she's getting it done in an expedited fashion. And inadvertently, that's building up muscle memory that's allowing her to apply this to everything in her life. And so that's when I realized the way you do anything is the way you do everything, because just that one move, paying attention to that one thing, translated into the rest of my life that just improved everything, from my fitness, from my business, from my personal relationships. I didn't if something needed to be addressed, that's why I don't mind dealing with conflict. At that same time, I realized that holding something inside of me long term was only hurting myself. And so I came up with this rule that, hey, if I go to wake up 3 mornings in a row with something on my mind, I'm going to go address it with whatever that person is. So I learned how to deal with conflict in a much better way, because I was excited to get something up to its head, because I knew if I let it sit inside of me, it would eat me alive. So it forced me to start following a process now. I wake up 3 days in a row, something's bothering me. I'm gonna confront it with that person in a loving way to try to get this where I don't have to spend time thinking about something that's not productive, right? And so it led to that thing happening, which then improved all of my personal relationships. It improved, so it was just like a dominoes effect that went into place once I realized that knowledge.
So how would you say, all right, how would you start? I mean, let's talk about let's turn this into something that if somebody's listening, how can they become more intentional? What are some things that somebody can do to improve their life, that when you say how you do something, what are some of the little things, do you think might help somebody's mindset? I was thinking making your bed, or trying to do workouts, or little things stuff like that, or, hey, let's set a time to go to bed, things like that, that I know personally, if I don't do those things, my day's totally different. It's almost like on a daily basis, how you shift the little niches that even starts from the night before play into the next morning on how much rest you're getting, and then how you wake up, and then whether or not you're motivated to go or push yourself to go to the gym. I think those are some of the things that dictate the rest of my day. It's
setting yourself up for success. I think his name was General William McEwen. He gave a speech one time at a university. It's a real famous speech. And he talked about getting up every day and why it's so important to make your bed. And he goes through this thing. You wake up in the morning, you make your bed, first of all, you scratch something off the list right out the gate that you got something accomplished that day. And let's say you go through your day and the rest of your day has been littered with shittiness and problems and issues, and it was really a bad day. When you get back in that bedroom to put your head on the pillow, you're going to realize, hey, you have a made bed. You're going to walk into a neat, clean room. You're going to understand that, hey, even though today was a loss, you know what? Tomorrow's another day. And you know what? I did do something good today because, look, I'm coming back to this beautiful, clean, in-place room that, you know what? I can now rest my head. So he gave this real famous speech about how just getting up and doing the little things in life, how those can then lead to the next thing and the next thing, because you're paying attention at a different level now. You're not paying attention at this general level. You're paying attention to the specific things that you do every day that lead to a better outcome for your life. And as small as making a bed and coming home to that. I know I enjoy walking in my bedroom at night and it's a made up bed and it's all those things. It's like, yeah, things are in order. Think about the feeling it gives you when you walk into a messy room with a bed that's not made, or you walk into a nice, neat room the way that you left it. Man, there's something about that just gives you peace and, and overall just a feel good. It feels good, right? So I think just knowing that all these little things, they lead to feeling good about yourself. They lead to accomplishments when maybe you didn't have a lot of accomplishments that day. And so that's what I've found, how these little things like this. But that's one example, but it's really looking at anything in your life that's chaotic and how can you simplify that and reduce it down to something that's manageable. And it typically, you have to have a plan, just like anything else in life. You have to have a plan the way that you're going to do things if you want to accomplish it, because otherwise you're like a rudderless ship. A ship with no destination is just floating around in the ocean going nowhere. It's the same thing with your life. If you don't have these things put in place and these kind of guardrails for your life, I have to have a lot of guardrails. I tend to want to go outside of the line. So my guardrails need to be tight in order for me to just function like a normal person. Otherwise, I'd be a maniac, right? Just because I have this propensity to go off the deep end. But in most cases, this is not just something for me. It works for everyone. These principles are not like specific to one person. This works for everyone. If you pay attention, that's why they say, trust me with little and I'll trust you with a lot. It's the same way with this. It's like you have these little things that you have to do that build your character and your foundation to handle the big things in life. So, it's the game of life, and how you play it is all about thinking. It's all about understanding. It's all about self-reflection. It's all about just knowing your environment. And you can get better at this. Even someone like me that's had all this litter of issues and challenges and self-destruction that I've done for myself, I've been able to figure this out so anybody can.
Yeah, I think I like to look at it as giving a gift to yourself.
That's right.
Like it's truly the smallest things that can make the world of a difference. And the more you practice improving the small things, it's just going to become a natural part of your routine.
The way you do anything is the way you do everything. It really is the truth. So if you're having a problem and you are stuck, you just got to go back to the basics, dude. That's that old saying, going back to the basics. It's like, what does that mean? It means what it says. It's like, get back to the blocking and tackling. That's in football. The foundation of football is the front line, right? Blocking and tackling. You have to be able to block and tackle if you can play. If you're going to play, that's the basics. That's the foundation. It's the same thing in life. Do the little things that are easy to do. They give you a big benefit in the long run. When you get an opportunity for a big thing, you're prepared. Otherwise, you blow a lot of opportunities in life if you aren't prepared. I know I've done it every way. This has been a journey, and so as I look back, the more I'm able to focus in on the little things, and this is not unique to me, the more it's like everything opens up for you, because it's like you see the world differently, because you know that you can take on something, you can conquer it, you can put a process in place. It gives you confidence to go conquer the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And that's really what life's about, dude. Life's about not getting on that wheel and always getting yourself out of your comfort zone. This is one of the skills and conditioning that you give to yourself, almost like working out, that allows you to go get better and better. When you work out, you start off where you are, but as you do things consistently every day, you get stronger, you get faster, you get to jump higher, you get more healthy. The same thing works in every aspect of your life, that there's a process, and once you understand that there's a process, then you quit fighting it and you just go with the process.